Well, we don't talk to this guy enough. Let's bring in Sportsnet's Arash Madani. The only problem I have, man, is I don't know where to start. What is in your sports vortex right now with you, my dude?
It's interesting, Roddy. Here we are, May 15th. Just over 2 months from now, I'll be headed to Paris to cover the Summer Olympic Games. And this week here in Toronto, the Olympic swimming trials are going on. And I'm not sure how many Canadians know this, but Summer McIntosh is about to explode into the sports conscience of this country. She's only a teenager, and she is about to become a phenom in the pool. She's going to win multiple gold medals. She may break world records. I say both of those with plurals. And so that's kind of on my work docket coming up right now, and definitely keeping a close eye on the NBA playoffs because I'm headed to the NBA finals next month as well.
Well, she's been at this for a while. Is she going to be better than Penny Alexiak? Is she better than Penny Alexiak?
I actually think the comp broad is not Penny, and that's no disrespect to, what Penny's done, especially in Rio, exploding onto the scene. I don't think many really saw that Alexiak emergence coming in Rio. The comp here is like Katie Ledecky. McIntosh has the opportunity to become maybe the most prolific women's swimmer of all time. So that's what we're talking about when we're talking about what is about to happen here, and the potential of this kid, and what she's capable of.
I love it. All right. You've sold me. Not like I wasn't going to be watching anyways, but I'll be especially watching for that. I've noticed the Blue Jays are in last place. Hearing a lot about that. Do we see this coming or not?
Well, maybe not last place, but this is a team that really couldn't hit all of last year. And then this offseason, what did they really do, Roddy? They replaced Whit Merrifield with Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, and they brought Justin Turner, who was 29 10 years ago. They brought Turner in to when Matt Chapman went out the door. And that's really it. And the whole kind of premise was, well, the players we had in-house have to be better. Now, it's been a disastrous start. There is no doubt about it. This is a team that's been awful at the plate. It's been a team that's bullpen has been right there at the bottom of all of baseball. But what you're starting to now see is Vladimir Guerrero and Bo Bichette. They're slowly starting to heat up. They're slowly starting to get it together. Now, I don't know what they're going to get at George Springer all year, Rod. I'll be frank with you. But this team goes as Guerrero and Bichette take them. And the fact that they're starting to see the ball well, the fact that they're starting to get hot or warm, let's not overstate it. If you're a Blue Jay fan, that's a good thing. Because after today in Baltimore, and right before they have a day game, I just checked before coming on, it's a 2-1 game in the third inning. They have 13 winnable games, including the dreadful White Sox coming to town. So I'm most intrigued if we revisit in 2 weeks where they are at the end of May rather than the middle of May.
I enjoy the Jays discussion because we're on national television in Canada. Trust me, I get it. But you and I have been doing this a long time, and you always would caution me. It's May, right? Like, is it not still early, or is it too late to say it's early?
Both, if that makes any sense. Look, Sparky Anderson always said, and I think Jim Leland reiterated it, basically be healthy and be 500 at the end of May, and then you have 100 games to go. I buy into that. But you need to see a pulse. And I tell you what, man, up until about 5 days ago, there wasn't much of that. They were in the intensive care unit down there in the basement of the division, and one of the worst teams in the American League. So I still think the margin for error is razor thin. Like, we still really don't know about Alec Manoah, even though there were some signs that maybe he's turned the corner. But they're in a starting pitching injury or two away from disaster. Now, that said, most teams are in the same boat. But I still think they're going to be okay with expanded playoffs. There's a lot of runway left for this team, but dudes have got to start performing. It's early works until it's not, and we're getting very close to it's not time, but we're not quite there yet.
I would be remiss if I didn't ask you about what's going on in the CFL here in week 1 of training camps. Your timeline seems pretty quiet, CFL-related stuff, but I know you're following it, so you must have some thoughts.
I'm just, Rod, I'm just amazed at the Toronto Argonauts. I really wonder what their general manager does. Like, what's the job of a general manager in sports? What's the job of a general manager in professional football? Like, I don't think that Pinball Clements could name how many guys they bring to camp. 70-ish? 65? How many guys on that roster does Pinball really know? Like, I don't know if you saw the fiasco today where the Argos announced that Kelly was moved to the suspended list, and then they quickly backtracked and said, no, he's not on the suspended list. Like, the NCAA would call this entire thing a lack of institutional control. And, when you're the leader of the ship, pardon the pun, when you're atop the flow chart, it continues to start at you. And Clemens last week said, okay, yeah, it's on me. We got to be better. And then they come out this week and they're not better. And I just wonder, like, what are they doing over there when just, ordinary transactions, and I'm sure they're going to call it a clerical error or something like that, or a miscommunication. But this is your franchise quarterback. This is the league MVP. And last week, the Canadian Football League needed leadership. They needed leadership from the general manager of the Toronto Argonauts, and they needed leadership from the commissioner of the CFL. And they got neither from either of those guys. And, that's if you're a fan of the CFL, if you're a stakeholder, if you're a woman who works in the ecosystem of pro football in this country, how disillusioned, disappointed, hurt, stung do you feel with how that all unfolded last week?
Just a mess, And I've had a few people kind of try to draw me in terms of to use me for their own gain. I'm like, no, I don't want any part of this. I don't want to know. I don't know. You're far more of an investigative journalist than I am. I
want to know. I
don't know who to trust. Right, I don't know who to trust.
The issue, and look, this is the issue. The issue is the league is not providing the 87-page report to the Players Association. A grievance has to be filed. The same league that won't provide financials to the Players Association, even though it's collectively bargained that they're going to have revenue sharing. So why is it that over and over again the league is hiding from its players? You tell me.
Yeah, that's a tough one. That's a tough one. I don't want to end it on that. NBA, what's hot? What's exciting? Jamal Murray, your guy? Are you a Nuggets fan or what?
I tell you, if you're following, and I'm always thinking of this through the Olympic lens at this point, and also because I covered the World Cup of basketball last year, Canada's men's basketball team is going to be the most intriguing team to watch in that entire Olympic men's basketball tournament. You look at what Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is doing right now in Oklahoma. You look at what Jamal's doing over there in Denver. Nickeil Alexander-Walker coming off the bench, although he started yesterday for Minnesota. And what a defender that he is. This team is going to be legit. And wasn't it something, Rod, when last week after the Joker won MVP again, Shaq came out and said, that belongs to Shaq. That belongs to SGA. I mean, we're talking about a dude who had more than 30 points in 50-plus games this year. He is a megastar in the NBA. And maybe it's because he's in Oklahoma. Maybe because he's a pretty low-key guy. Maybe it's because these playoff games in the West start pretty late in the Eastern time zone. Not a lot of people, and they're not a really sexy team right yet. They're about to be. People aren't quite there on SGA, and they're about to find out and real fast on how good this guy is.
I don't know anything, and I could tell that he was the MVP. But don't get me started on voting for these awards. Okay, my dude. Always good. See you this summer.
All right, pal.
All right. Sportsnet's Arash Madani checking in from the Big Smoke.